Hello, I'm Joan Childs, and welcome to part 5 of a 10-part series on inner child work. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about mental health and how important it is in our lives. And I want to let you know that the biggest imbalance that we suffer from is our emotional baggage. What our minds repress or suppress, our body will express. We know that 80% of all illness is stress-induced. So what I specialize in is inner child work, and today I want to talk to you about how I do it. And won't be able to do it all in one video, but I will start with how I begin to be able to collect the information and that's really relevant and essential in order to effectuate positive change and help people be able to achieve the goals that they have been unable to do and have been unsuccessful in all their attempts. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this is not easy work for people. Most of them come from some kind of an addiction, whether it's substance abuse or whether it's codependency or gambling or eating disorders, shopaholism, workaholism, a lot of isms. And while they're in it, they're really trying to manage their feelings, their feelings of being unregulated. And all this comes from the time that they were children. Most of them did not have a secure attachment. Many of them were abandoned or abused or neglected. And these are the scars, these are the wounds that they carry forth into their adulthood, unwittingly, unknowingly, until somewhere around the time they're 40 years old, they begin to get some insight, and not always 40, but that seems to be the average age. I do see some people in their late 20s and early 30s. I don't see anyone that's active in any addiction, because before we can really begin, the first thing they have to do, according to the transformation model, which is to modify their behavior. I mentioned this in my last video. So if they're drinking, they've got to stop. If they're drugging, they've got to stop. I cannot see anyone that's active in any addiction like that, because they're not really in their essence, which means their authentic selves. They're in their survival suits, trying to manage their feelings and basically self-medicate because of the pain and the suffering that they've endured in early childhood and adolescence. So there we go. We're in adulthood now, and we have all this pain that we're not even aware where it comes from. We don't understand the whys and the hows, but this is something that they learn in therapy. So the first thing I do is I give the life history questionnaire, which is very long, 20 pages at least. I think it might even be 1 or 2 pages more, and very investigative, extremely provocative, and very boring. So many of them don't even want to do it, but in doing it, what they suddenly realize that they've not realized before is that it really pokes at their unconscious mind, and they're forgotten. They were so hurt and so in such pain in childhood that they repressed a lot of the things that happened. I had one patient that had no memory from before the time she was 17, and that they become dissociated. If they've been sexually abused, especially, even physically abused, they don't want to feel the pain, so they dissociate from their body, and by doing that, they lose contact with their inner self. That child that's in us, remember, every adult has a child. Not every child has an adult. I don't think any child has an adult, but every adult has a child. And how these children were raised, if they came from severe dysfunction, and by the way, every family is dysfunctional to a greater or lesser extent, because parents just don't have eyes in the back of their heads. They can't be 24/7 on. So it's really to understand how difficult parenting is and to appreciate it, we have to know that there's going to be mistakes by everyone. Some of them are intentional and some of them are not. Most of them are not even intentional. And it's not a blame game. We don't want to blame our parents for everything, because if we do that, we have to look back even further in history, grandparents, great-grandparents, how they were raised, what their wounds were. And we only know what we know. So the idea of inner child work is to bring all that unconscious awareness to a conscious level, and to be able to understand and to be able to motivate and to learn new behaviors, to reparent ourselves, because we didn't get that secure attachment. So we have to learn how to do it ourselves. And that's what I do. I help people who are suffering from wounds of childhood, whether it be one parent or the other or both, who somehow gave them the injunction that they weren't worthy, they were defective, they were faulty, there was something wrong with them. And when we're children, we're very impressionable, so we take it in, we believe it, and we become what we are told we are. You teach a dog a bad name, it's going to become a bad dog. So basically, we have to learn how to reparent ourselves, and that's what inner child work is about. So after I go through the 20-page life history questionnaire with a highlighter, and I read everything, and everything is important, and some things are even more important. But for me, it's fodder. It's to be able to utilize the material that they have written in there to open up areas in their unconscious that they have never known before, that they've repressed in order to survive. And after you do it long enough, you don't even know who you are, and you go to your death never knowing who you are, which is the tragedy of tragedies. So after I read that thoroughly, and sometimes twice, and then they come in for their first appointment, I already know a lot about them. And then I decide where I'm going to start and how I'm going to start. And I usually let them tell me what they want to work on. What is it that the most energy is around? And some of them don't even know. So I have to really kind of poke around to find out where they are, where the damage is. You know, where is the cancer, the emotional cancer in their body, and how did it get there? Because they weren't born like that. We're all born perfect. It's how we're raised. It's nurture versus nature. It still is that. And that gives us a sense of where we came from, because there really isn't anyone that's in addiction doesn't have a free will. It's a will that's run riot, and it's really important. So many of my clients come from 12-step programs, and they are working on the modification of their behavior, which is something I require before I see them. So basically, that's how I begin. That's the end of today's fifth video, and I will explain more to you and give you more insight into the work and how it's done once I see you again in video number 6. Okay, so stay tuned and have a wonderful day. Bye.